This is the regular meeting of the Waterville Valley Select Board. Bob Freeze, Vice Chairman, filling in for Rich Frieda, Chairman, who's absent. And with me is Wendy Rathgerber, member. So we have a quorum.
Okay. Let me get the active law.
So there's nobody here for privilege of the floor.
Okay.
So we'll go on to new business.
All right.
Water service credit application, C Cook.
Yep. Mr. Cook has filled out an application. Sharon and I reviewed it. It does meet the criteria for the states under the water service credit function regulations. So we would recommend that the board approve the request as submitted. Any questions?
Is Bearbrook Road Lane over here? Where's that?
No, Bear Brook Lane is the one at the top of Noon Peak with the single family homes
Oh,
on the
yeah,
left-hand
okay.
side.
All right.
Yeah.
So, do we get any certification?
We do. We have it says military
We see-
certification. We review it. It's a
Okay.
DD Form 214 that they have to submit.
Okay.
We have them in the files if you would like to look at them, but it is confidential information, so
Sure.
we don't copy it in the packet. That's
Okay, and how much of a credit are we approving?
this one is a $500 war service credit. The same as everybody else who qualifies. He served during a time of served a combat time. So
Should it say on here the amount that we're giving?
no, because it can, this is a standard form that the state uses, and by certifying this, you're certifying what town meeting has approved.
Okay,
So if it changes from time to time, this authorization will change with it.
Okay.
so I move that we grant a $500 tax credit to Mr. Cook
A
for his
second.
military service.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and that's down there, the second and the third line. Right here and right there.
Okay, next order of business is an RFQ posting for land use and planning support services to take this Tara's place.
Yes, Tara has given her notice, and the planning board has appointed a subcommittee of 3 of their members and town staff to go through the request for qualifications process the same way we did when we selected the engineering firm for the wastewater treatment facility. So they'll not be proposals with a money amount attached to them. There'll be a statement of qualifications booklet like the engineers submitted to us for the treatment plant. We'll go through those and we will select a couple of firms. The subcommittee will interview those firms, make a recommendation to the full planning board on a number 1 candidate firm. Probably do an interview with the entire board to verify that decision, and then they will give us their quote. And the planning board will review that and forward that to the selectmen for consideration in the budget.
So why an RFQ versus an RFP?
Because we've asked for professional services and we want to select the
Gotcha.
best firm, the most qualified firm. And then we'll deal with it the same way we did the engineers. If they provide us with a quote that's way out of our budget range, then we'll go to the number 2 firm and keep
So
going. down this.
Tara was an individual,
She was an individual.
Yeah.
so when they're deciding not to go with an individual again.
Right, so if, on the form, or the quote, or the RFQ announcement, we're putting a lot more services that we're looking for from a single entity. So with Tara, she had all the qualifications and knowledge for the planning land use. But we would have to go elsewhere for engineering services. Everything that she would submit, if there was a legal question, would have to go to town council.
Mhm.
We're trying to find a single in-house entity to do this work. And there are several firms in the state that provide the full range of services. We're trying to get that all under one roof.
Mhm.
And we'll see what the quote is and see if it's in the range of what we've been paying for these services, so.
Yeah.
That's why we approached it this way.
Okay.
And we did target, I think Steve mentioned on the memo, we did target 8 firms that we did our own search online, and they seem to be those types of firms that have everything. So we sent this specifically to them, then we announced it more generally in the municipal association website and
Okay,
that sort of thing.
okay.
Try to get the word out.
Good.
Okay.
What do you need from us?
Nothing right now, just wanted to make sure, get any feedback from you. And just to let you know that process was going on.
Sounds to me like it's gonna be quite a bit more expensive than what.
It may be, but we are spending money out of the legal budget and we're spending money potentially out of engineering and stuff. If we can do it all under the planning budget, we can reduce other areas.
Well, and
potentially.
presumably be more efficient too.
And it will be more efficient
So,
if they have the
overall
attorney
savings.
in-house,
Yeah.
right? Time-wise especially,
Mm.
getting stuff done.
Okay. Next item, local hazard mitigation plan update.
And I'm gonna let Dave talk to you about that.
Yes. So about every 5 years, we're expected to update our hazard mitigation plan
Yeah.
for the town. And HSEM offers grants to accomplish that. So we applied last January. I just found out on Monday. We were awarded a grant to update our plan. So there's basically two plans, the emergency action plan and the hazard mitigation plan. They're both due. Actually, the emergency action plan is due earlier than this, but the money was up for this one, so we grabbed this one while we had an opportunity to do that. And this is basically it's gonna be a year process. Allows us to hire a third-party vendor that pretty much goes through our plan with us. We have several meetings with the stakeholders. The local match is basically our time. Meeting with them and updating this plan. She handles submitting it to the state. It then gets approved by FEMA and then we get reimbursed. So we've been through this a handful of times now, so this is just our turn to take advantage of if they're actually having the state help us pay for it.
So there was like $8,700 in the grant, and then it said a couple thousand came from us, I guess.
From us as our match, but it's an in-kind match.
It's in kind, so it'll be just, our time will be tracked when we have the meetings, and then the equivalent amount will be credited to us. It isn't a cash match.
So they look at every, all hazard mitigation, Megan will be, a big part of that. Those meetings and, all the stakeholders of the resort, any of the other business owners, the property managers, that sort of thing.
Hmm.
Get to put in, and we update the current plan. Current plan, you know, touches on all the natural disasters and that sort of thing that happens. One of the big things, they come up with a bunch of recommendations, things that we should be working on,
Mhm.
you know, over the next 5 years that would help us kind of prevent, you know, damages from storms and that sort of thing. But I got an email last week and I haven't responded yet in regards to, there was a citizen that was concerned about what do we do if we had 20 inches of rain, like you're seeing on some of these storms? And we're cut off from there. I was here during Irene, we were literally 12 feet away from being cut off.
Mhm.
And on one of the plans that has one of the biggest points that we had, and I've always said, is having an emergency route out of town.
Yep.
And the biggest obstacle for that has been the Forest Service.
Yep.
And so I don't have a good answer. Luckily, we don't get 20 inches of rain.
You're knocking wood as you say that.
As I am, yes. As I say that, but really getting serious about really trying to get a plan forward with
Yeah.
the Forest Service to establish a route that is protected from you know, these types of rain events. I think is very important. I mean, we lost Triple I Road and we were only 12 feet from losing Route 49.
Yeah.
You know, there were some proposals for a route along the power line.
Mhm.
You know, I've identified Incinerator Road is high enough above the river to be safe from the river washout, and is a road that's mostly already established,
Right.
except for some culverts and getting it to go all the way through where there is some private land down by 6 Mile, but other towns have done it. The town of Gorham had successfully had an alternate route when the downtown Route 2 floods, Route 16, Route 2 floods in the central of Gorham. Just up of Route 2, there is an emergency path. It's a gated path. People recreate on it when it's not being, you know, when it's not being used, but when the middle of town is flooded, you can't get to one side of the town without having to use that emergency route.
Is there an existing standing committee that worked on this last time, 5 years ago?
There isn't a committee, just the stakeholders. So it's basically the department heads and any of the citizens. It is open to the public. But there isn't a committee, but there, you know, perhaps there could be a committee for this particular issue. I know this was an issue in the last one.
Yeah.
And continues to be. And, you know, this particular citizen that emailed last week, I don't have a good answer for him. You know, it's something that's been identified,
Yeah.
but we don't have a solution yet.
Well, I mean, I've been concerned about it too, and I've shared that certainly. So once, I guess, sorry, a few different things. We were gonna reach out to the Forest Service local manager.
Mhm.
Had they responded? Has he
Yeah,
responded?
there is no plan to upgrade Triple I Road.
But
But to
we
meet
had
with us.
invited him to meet with
To
us,
meet with
yeah.
us, no, not yet. We've not gotten an answer back for a date.
So can
yet.
he be incorporated into?
The
this
Forest
plan
Service
making?
is included. It's not gonna be the forest supervisor. It's going to be the district ranger or her assistant. That is who, I mean, we have updated this plan 3
Right.
times since I've been here. We've always included the Forest Service. We've always included the resort. We have all the property managers that are invited,
Mhm.
and then the department heads.
It seems fairly
So-
extensive. How long is the report? How thick is it?
That's
Yeah. It's a very extensive report.
We can send you a copy. It's,
Oh,
And we've provided, when we've done these updates in the past, we've had a review with the board.
Mhm.
After the review.
okay,
And if more than one of you want to come to the meetings, we'll post a selectmen's meeting and you guys can be here for it. That's not a problem.
When will you start working on it?
it all depends on, the vendor that we use is Maps out of Bethlehem.
Max?
Yeah, it's, June Garneau is her name.
Yeah.
She's, does the lion's share of the towns around the state for this sort of thing, so it's however her schedule, we fit
Gotcha.
into her schedule,
The-
so.
The person who does who actually mentors the update has to be certified by Homeland Security to do these plans. So there's a limited number of people that are
can imagine.
registered to
Yeah.
do them.
Wow.
So, and like Dave said, June actually helped us design the very first plan that we had. So she's very familiar with our issues.
Mhm.
And the nice thing is, we're basically going to take the last plan and literally just go down it and say, has anything changed in your prioritization?
Mhm.
And has anything in your classifications, has anything changed? So, and then if Homeland Security has changed some of the reporting requirements, we'll integrate that. But it isn't like the very first time we did it where we had to go through and actually write out every single thing. This is gonna be more reviewing the current language and updating it for current conditions.
so is $10,000 or $11,000 likely to be
This is
enough
her
money?
number. Yeah, this is her number
Oh.
through the state. That's the other reason why Homeland Security does it this way.
Okay,
It's not it's not gonna be a competitive thing where this can turn into tens of thousands of dollars. We know that it's 8339.
Yeah,
And is the emergency action plan similar in that someone
Mhm.
specifically had a vendor
it's the
has
same
to?
process.
Same
It's-
process.
it's- It's very similar, they go through basically line by line,
Same
however,
person.
however.
Okay, that was, yeah.
A handful of meetings that we need,
Yeah.
we'll do section 1 through 10, one meeting, and then we'll do 10 through 15, and depending on what section, it may be more public works oriented, or it may be public safety, or it may be
Sure.
the resort, so each one's a little different, but
so these can be done at the same time? Pretty much?
they can't be done they won't be done at the same time. The state has told me that there's actually a different vendor that they're leaning towards us using.
Oh,
For the
Or
emergency
yeah,
action plan?
for the
Yeah.
emergency
It hasn't
action
been
plan.
in the past. It's been the same
Yep.
person.
So we gotta get online for that one. That one is also open, but I haven't thrown our hat into that one yet, but I told them that I did. So I'm just waiting on paperwork,
right.
so.
Yeah.
All right,
This one came out first. I was actually surprised that this one came out
Yeah.
first.
Hmm.
So,
So the process would be that you would be voting to approve the grant agreement in the amount of $8,399.70. And then it would be in accordance with the agreement, which is a boilerplate from Homeland Security. And then you would also be voting to authorize the Dave to sign and enter the actual grant agreement paperwork itself,
Right.
moving forward.
okay,
So I'll make that motion. Or was it
Okay.
8,300?
8,300. Yep,
70 cents.
and 70 cents. Yep.
Yep, and for Chief Noyes to be there's gotta be a better word for it.
To be the town authorized signer.
Yeah.
Um,
Not a better
for
word for
the
it.
grant agreement.
Great.
And now, like all good federal paperwork, we need you to sign signature 2 and signature 3 here. It says subrecipient, but that's the term they use for the grant authorizers. And then you have to initial every page, and I X them.
Awesome.
So,
I second the motion.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
all right, so
I'm sorry, we've gotten way more money and way less signing.
sometimes you just can't figure out the ratio.
Yeah,
Should be the backside.
There is a backside, sorry.
No, we didn't write it.
did you read the back, the guidance for the meeting minutes, Mark? There is language, because I think the total amount is 11.
Oh,
Oh.
okay,
We might want to just repeat
I meant-
that.
we're gonna repeat.
Well, it matters.
Just to be official.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
the amount, so it's
Yeah.
on the record, that's the amount, the 11,000.
All right, so we acknowledge the total cost of the project will be $11,199.60. In which the town will be responsible for a 25% match of $2,799.90.
And then the other number that you said before is the federal number.
The $8,399.70
Yeah.
is what the federal.
Yeah.
be provided.
All right, very good.
Thank you.
It does.
Almost. Okay,
Thank you.
moving along to old business. Road project update, Jennings Peak wetlands permit.
Yep, you had a copy of the agreement modification with HEB Engineers. We submitted a request to New Hampshire DES to waive wetlands permit applications for this project. We submitted 4 different waiver applications. All 4 of them were denied. So we need to do additional engineering work on the project before we can start the project. So this additional $16,500 is to complete those 4 tasks that the waivers were denied.
All 4 related to.
All
Jennings
4
Peak.
related to Jennings Peak Road. And
There's wetlands up there?
the drainage ditches require a
Oh.
wetlands permit
Okay,
in some cases. We're fortunate. The work on Triple I Road, as an example, does not need the permitting because it's on the White Mountain National Forest. And they do not require the DES wetlands permit. So, but our other road projects, the work on Valley Road to correct
yeah.
the culvert that's collapsed. that will need wetlands permitting. Where we would have requested a waiver from that, we're not going to now, we're just going to
Sure.
do the engineering up front when we do that design work. But all of our projects now, if it's more than 50 feet of maintenance on an open drainage ditch, you have to either request a waiver or get a permit now.
Hmm.
So it was very frustrating because we didn't think we would need the waivers, and in fact, some of the classes that Megan and her guys have been to, they've been told that we don't need waivers to do this type of work, but DES has denied the waiver requests when we submitted them, so.
Hmm.
And HEB does this work all the time, so I'm confident that they submitted the right paperwork and,
Okay,
if we were gonna get a waiver, they would have gotten it for us, but.
Okay.
So that, I just wanted to bring that to your attention and make sure that it was on the record of what we were doing there. This may cause a delay. We were supposed to start Jennings Peak in the spring.
yeah,
I'm hopeful that HEB can get the design work done and get the permit approval from DES over the winter, but they are backed up 3 to 6 months, so there could be a delay.
is there any reason they would deny?
Not the
wetlands
permit. No, once the work's done, I think the permit will be issued. It's just they have to do the engineering work behind it.
So basically just like protecting the ditch, is that the idea?
Honestly, I don't know, Wendy.
Okay,
I mean, I don't understand what the problem is. We're
Yeah.
doing maintenance, we're cleaning out a
Right.
ditch,
yeah,
we're replacing culverts
yeah.
and that sort
making
of
it
things.
better.
We're making
Yeah.
it better
Okay.
and making it drain better.
I mean, there's no,
There's no rhyme or reason.
we can't feel it.
You can't appeal it. I mean, I guess we could, but I'm not sure that
better
it's
to
gonna
just-
get anywhere, and it's just gonna hold up the project
Yeah.
even more.
Hmm.
Okay,
The bigger projects, I mean, we do have to think about the Valley Road project with the replacement of such a large culvert. That may be something that, I'm not sure what the engineering fees are gonna be for that permit. Because that's more extensive than what we're doing on Jennings Peak.
it doesn't look like that's deteriorated any further than it.
It probably, I don't know what it's doing under the ground, but
Well, we cut it and filled it, with leftover flow fill that we had in a truck after we, put in the light pole bases out here.
Mhm.
Just to help solidify and try and
Mhm.
strengthen underneath the pavement, so it wouldn't sink any further. So,
Yeah. But I mean, surely where it's a culvert that's being replaced, which is obviously dealing with water. There's no way to combine the two, like a wetlands permit with the engineering just seems
Mhm.
like it ought to cover.
oh, it will. I
Everything.
mean, the end, right.
So why
But-
I would hate to, it just seems a shame to spend additional monies on something that's,
Oh, I'm not saying, we did not get an engineering. We did not get an engineering number for the Valley Road project yet.
Okay.
So, but we will make sure that the wetlands permitting is in the task for the engineer to do.
well, I guess we'll see how much more that is.
Okay. Transfer station update.
waiting on
Go ahead.
dates, they, actually just
You're
got
not gonna
back to me.
keep
Yeah.
using the,
No, I think the equipment will be
Equipment.
perfectly fine, DES will be super happy with it, no, they gave me, a tentative date to come back the 22nd. So,
was it just a timing issue for them?
yeah, I guess they had some other projects and stuff going on, but, so 22nd is the tentative date, I actually just.
That's for the gates.
For the gates, just for the gates alone. And that'll be finished with everything for the transfer station. Everything's pretty much moved in. The last few dumpsters, new dumpsters that we ordered will be here tomorrow. So one of those new ones will go down, down here in the transfer station. And the rest will go out in town. But overall transportation is done.
Is it the same company that leased us the temporary fence? Is that still there, the temporary fence?
The temporary fence is still there. Our contract ends end of October. So I figured might as well just write it out, especially since we don't have the gates right now. Just write it out until the contract ends, because we wouldn't be saving any money sending it back down, so.
Okay. And the electrical work, is that done now?
It is done.
It
yeah.
is, yeah, we
Start
just got
finishing up.
that invoice.
Yep, and, the guys were painting it today, so it's a nice cheery bluish gray color in there, so.
Ooh, it's cheery.
Yeah, bluish, it's a
Okay.
light blue, it's like
I'm
sky
joking,
blue.
I'm joking.
All right, the wastewater update.
Yes, so had a meeting yesterday with Black and Veatch engineers, Richard, Dylan and I. We went through their third technical memo, looked at their continued research on the two recommended options for the type of plant, and refine those. We are leaning towards the membrane bioreactor type plant as the preferred option. They do have some questions that came up during the meeting that they have to get us information on. They also gave us some conceptual layouts. We reviewed those in detail. We made several changes and asked several questions that they owe us answers on before we can finalize a conceptual layout. The next step, once they make those changes and town staff accepts them, will be a staff, Black and Veatch and New Hampshire DES meeting, which is scheduled for the 21st of October down in Concord at DES. We will go through that technical memo, identify any questions that the state has, and then show the state the layout proposed that we have. Once we get the state's okay on that, they'll have about a week to review that. Our plan is to come in and give you the presentation on the technical memo, the two types of plants, and the conceptual layout on October 30th. That would be a special meeting on Wednesday, the 30th. And I wanted to make sure that fit.
So it makes sense that we find out about it after it's already gone to the state. I mean, it seems like.
Yeah, we need to, well, yeah, because we don't want to show you anything and have a town decision on something that the state then changes.
They're figuring
We-
we won't have anything useful to add.
Well, technically,
Basically.
none of us have,
Yeah.
except for a couple of engineers at Black and Veatch, as
Yeah.
far as, I mean, most of this it's called
No,
a
no,
technical
yeah.
memo for a
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah.
What we need to look at, and a lot of our discussion and a lot of the questions we asked were in regards to life cycle costs,
Mhm.
comparisons,
Right,
and that sort of thing.
yeah.
So we need to get DES to say, yes, these are two viable options for you to look at. Then we can come in, show you those options, show you the layout, proposed layout, but more importantly, go over the construction and life cycle costs and that'll be the majority of the discussion that we're having with the board.
So at that point, there will still be two options.
There will still be two options,
Okay.
yeah.
So the two layouts then?
There will be two layouts and it's just, I mean, I will go up and get the two layouts that we looked at, but they changed significantly. So based on our conversation with the engineers, because we started asking questions, we said, no, that won't work because public safety issues or public works
Mhm.
issues, that sort of thing. So they're moving stuff around in the conceptual layout. But there are still two options. There's going to be a very strongly preferred one. And, you know, they have to make sure they've got the right numbers in for the life cycle costs before we're showing that
I guess I'm
comparison.
surprised that they go to the state with two options. I would think that they'd go to the state with a preferred option.
Well, they will say to the state what the preferred option is, but the basis of design report, if you remember, we had to show them at least two options, if not three options that we were looking at. So we're doing basically all that BOD work over again.
Okay. So is October 30th, is that a firm date to have a,
If you're available, it's a firm date.
Good.
Yep.
Yeah, and my goal is we will have that info to you on Monday. Just like a regular meeting packet. So you would have from Monday till the Wednesday meeting to look it over.
Okay. Yeah, that works.
We spent over 4 hours, almost 4.5 hours with them in reviewing this stuff. I would anticipate that the meeting with DS it's scheduled for 2, but it might go over that. So
okay.
that's where we are with it right now.
You saying that it's 2 o'clock on October 30th, is that what you're saying?
2 o'clock on October 30th in Concord.
What? No, you were meeting.
Oh,
about
October
October
30th is
30th.
at 3,
Oh.
3 o'clock.
Okay. Anything else on that?
No, we're still waiting for Piper to get here to start the upper entrance. They were supposed to be here today, but they ran into some issues, I'm assuming. So we'll get them here as soon as we
You're
can.
still waiting for the culvert?
No, the culvert is, they said they had
They have it?
the culvert is ready to go. It's just getting them here to start the work.
Okay.
Where is the culvert isn't here though.
The culvert is not in Waterville Valley, but
Right.
it is
Yeah.
ready to be picked up and,
And that's a Piper will pick it up and deliver it, or there's.
oh,
a
yeah,
delivery
no,
company?
we
Oh,
don't,
okay.
we don't
No, I
do
thought
any
maybe
of
like a
that.
delivery
So,
company to.
I don't know.
All
I
right.
don't know what their arrangement is, but
Okay.
the first thing they gotta do is get rid of all the piles of dirt that are up there. That's their first task. And then they can start the construction work.
Okay, move on to lead and copper rule revisions.
Yes, so the water and sewer bills, which we'll talk about in a minute, the water and sewer bills, which will be going out, will include public information on the new lead and copper rules revision that the federal government EPA is implementing. The requirements of the new rules are that we survey our entire system and identify all of the service lines. I think
Right.
we've talked about this
Yeah.
before. So this October 16th is the official start date for the new lead and copper rules revision process. It's a 10-year process, so it isn't anything that's gonna happen right away. But the requirements are that we know exactly what material each service line is to every building in town. Now, that may include digging up lines and examining them, taking pictures, but we have to have, by the end of the process, an entire inventory for the entire town.
No, the end of the 10-year process?
The end
or
of the
this is
10-year.
Prelude to the 10-year process.
No, this is the
This is-
start of the
okay.
10-year process is October 16th.
So they're taking 10 years to have everyone identify everything in the system and then make.
And
us
then
do
you gotta
something about it.
maintain, then, well, no, yes,
Right,
but you
finding
can
lead.
fix it as you go if you identify lead connections, and
So-
that's mostly what they're worried about.
Okay, so there's that expectation. that
There
it's
is-
not just identifying, but replacing. lead as
Replacing
effect.
whatever is non-compliant, but you can't simply say this was built after 1990, so it will be compliant. You must have, concrete evidence of what it's made out of.
Mhm.
So,
It sounded like in that stuff that I read, the
Mhm.
documentation, sounded like the burden was on the homeowner to tell us, what their service consisted of.
we are responsible for the town portion
Right.
to the curb stop. But under the program, we need to make sure, so if a homeowner does not know or does not help us, we're gonna go in and dig it up and find out what it is and document it. And then I don't know what the exact process is. They have not explained it to us
Mhm.
for getting reimbursement for that work. But it is ultimately the water system's responsibility to know all of this information. And we are the ones who are gonna be held accountable for it.
So if a homeowner says, oh, we just did this, it's fine.
Yeah,
We take their word for it,
No.
or they have to have documentation?
if they have documentation, if they have pictures of the line as it was installed or
Okay, so
whatever.
100% of the people aren't gonna have that.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
correct.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we're gonna have to fill in the gaps if there are any. Yeah. And it ultimately is not on the homeowner to do it, it's on the water system to do it.
And so it's up in the air as to who actually ends up paying for the homeowner portion of it.
Yes, I have not gotten that level of information yet.
Okay.
There are vendors that the state has selected, state and EPA has selected to assist us and give us technical support in doing this. They're not contractors or anything, they're just the folks that say, here's how you should design your system. And help us keep track of the inventories and things like that.
So
Because-
so if somebody like Dana White
Mhm,
did, 20 services in town,
mhm.
and he can say what he used,
If he can show us visual evidence of what he put in the ground,
I doubt if he can show visual
Yeah.
evidence.
that's what they want.
Because who
They
does
want,
that?
they're talking about digging up all of these lines.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it
So
is.
anyone
but it's the
listening
EPA.
now who's about to be doing any installation, please take
Yes.
pictures.
And
basically.
Dave, I mean, things like a Green Peak or whatever,
Right.
we have visual inspection.
Good.
And, we can, from this point forward, we
Yeah.
can take care of it, but it's going to be all of the services that were put in the 80s and those sorts of things where we're probably gonna be digging them up.
Do you have to literally dig the entire length of the pipe?
No,
or
if you
just-
can see it, yeah, you don't have to expose much of it.
Okay,
You just have to be able to verify that this pipe right here is going to that building.
okay.
So are we jumping the gun on sending things to homeowners right now?
We're required to. Believe me, I don't want to do this. This is a
I mean, it's gonna
requirement of the
raise
program.
more questions.
I know. And we're gonna have the office staff, I'm sure we're gonna get bombarded. As soon as we send these out, we'll have a script for,
Yeah,
what the process will be
So
going forward. But we are required to send this notice out by the 16th, and I have to send a certification in to DES that we did it.
Oh.
So does it tell us what it has to say, or can we make it
Yeah,
simplistic?
there is a format that you have to submit.
Can we do a fact, a frequently asked
There's
questions
a-
behind it?
There's a place where we can customize it to the community and we
Yeah.
can say what we want, but it's a set notice that
Or
has
we
to.
could like reference a website that they can go to for more information, and we could like, just trying to think and not having everyone like deluged with all these questions. If we can anticipate how to make it more clear to people and have that
Problem is,
landing
it's not
page.
really clear to
Oh.
us. Cause we're, this is not a program that they're like handing us a book and we know exactly what's gonna happen.
I see,
We're getting things in webinars and email updates and that sort of thing.
I see.
So we will get to the point where we have a
Yeah.
website or a page on our town website
Yeah,
that will be an information page. We will have that eventually, and, maybe in the fourth quarter bills, we'll be able to provide a link or something like that, if we can get additional information. We're just, right now, just trying to meet the minimum guideline.
So, but there is a place for us to put some of our own.
Yeah, there's a place where we can give a small explanation,
Maybe
this
they
is
could
the
say, "Don't
start of the
panic, this is
process.
a 10-year
Yes,
process.
Yes.
As soon as
that's-
we have more information, we'll put it up on our website.
Exactly, yes, and we can customize it to a
Okay.
small extent, and we'll do that.
And Dylan might have some insight too,
Mhm.
for knowing with the meter project too, there might be a little some insight from going.
Oh,
from
that's
inside
true.
out.
That's true.
That might help.
Is this DES versus feds? Is it state?
It's both the state and the feds that are requiring. I mean, EPA put the requirement in, DES is implementing it. And that we did do the meter project and we have a lot of information. My problem is it's going to be visually verifying what was put in the ground, because we can talk to Dana White because he did the work. If he took photographs, then we'll be okay. If he didn't, there still may be some digging that we have to do.
Yeah.
The problem with our system is most systems are very set in that the water line is in the road. There is a identified town portion that goes to a curb stop that's usually in the right of way. And then the service to the person's house is usually on their land.
Right,
That isn't the way our system is set up.
right,
There's a lot of private land that's involved.
yeah,
So it's it's doable because we did it when we did the meter project, and
Sure.
people worked with us and we got the easements that we needed. It's just gonna be a process to
yeah.
gather all the information. So we can do it. It's just gonna be some work.
Okay. Need anything from us on that?
No, not right now. Just wanted to give a public update.
Okay. Dumpster review. Whoop,
That's when,
Megan left at the
Oh.
dumpster review.
where did she go? don't
I
know.
can get us,
This is on the phone.
okay,
Oh,
well, get us started anyway.
Yeah.
We, the Public Works Department has put together a very thorough assessment of all the dumpsters. And we reviewed it yesterday, with
there she
Get it?
goes. Yep.
with the Municipal Solid Waste Working Group. And good timing, dumpsters. So just saying that we reviewed your very thorough evaluation yesterday, the Municipal Solid Waste Working Group. But you can take it from here.
I mean, so we did kind of a brief inspection, of all of the dumpster enclosures throughout town. We shared it with the working group yesterday, kind of went through, how many dumpsters are currently in those enclosures, what may need to happen to them, over the next, year, if there are some that are needing it sooner than a year or within a year. We are going to go around with an actual inspection checklist, to be able to give to properties, so that way they can address, the concerns themselves. Not sure all what we wanna discuss. in the
Well,
dumpster review.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue is that a number of particularly commercial dumpsters don't have any screening as is required. And so I think the biggest discussion, and I don't know if it can be resolved in one meeting, but the biggest discussion is how do we enforce this ordinance, or do we enforce this ordinance? It seems as though, a big part of our discussion ended up being about the type of doors, the wooden doors had been preferred for years and years. They all seem to sag and cause a lot of difficulties. What the Snowy Owl Inn had implemented with the chain link and the screening through there seems to have held up well.
And that was on the Silver Fox enclosure before we did the Snows Brook Road project.
Right. And it seems as though recommending that for one or two dumpster, enclosures that hold one or two dumpsters would be feasible. The issue also grew into that where, like in Town Square, where there are 3 dumpsters together, having a gating system that will last seems to need a post for support of the gates. Unless if there's a way to figure out an ultra light fence gate that wouldn't need, that could span that extra distance without needing the support. So it's just a matter of figuring out where to go from here. We talked previously about maybe allowing the enclosures to not have doors in the winters because of the safety aspect for the crew getting out there, being able to see if there's any ice in the way, also facilitating cleaning out. I'm not sure, there wasn't a consensus as to whether that was the right move or not. It just kind of is ending up here with no recommendation, just for us to hash it out, I think.
Yeah, the issue is we have non-conforming enclosures based on the ordinance changes that we made a couple, 2 years ago now at town meeting,
Mhm.
right? The question is, what do you do with those non-conforming enclosures? Are we gonna just say, and if the consensus, if the vote is to not enforce it, then I would recommend we do away with the ordinance.
Mm.
Because then we would have an ordinance that we're not enforcing. Or modify it to be some other language, whatever it is, but we discussed that in many towns, you have no enclosure
Right,
for any dumpster in town. There are all kinds of these dumpsters everywhere
Right.
that you go, that
Well-
they're just sitting by the property.
yeah, and I think the difficulty is that for ease of access and just how everything was designed, the dumpsters are more visible. I mean, yes, a lot of other towns have them at the side or the back of the building. But, and I keep going back to Town Square in my mind,
Mhm.
just because that's where I am all the time. But those 2 sets of 3 dumpsters, they're where everyone is, and it just
And they're visible.
very visible.
But also for enforcement of the ordinance, Town Square is not following the ordinance technically right now.
Right.
And if we enforce town squares, especially for doors, screening from a public way, it's gonna be very hard. Especially when there's cars and things like that parked there, which most of the time there are, for us to be able to pick up the dumpsters.
Right, and delivery trucks and
Mhm.
all that.
So we got the ones in the towns, the ones on either side of the town square. There's probably some others around town that
Yeah.
also
there-
don't comply.
There are, what, another half dozen or so?
Yeah, probably 10 total
Okay.
They don't
that
comply.
do not
Yeah.
comply.
Yeah.
And that's out of probably 30, 40 total enclosures,
Yeah,
30 maybe.
or some that need work.
And there are a lot that are on the edge, but they still have doors. They may
Yeah.
not be in great shape or whatever, but at least there are doors there. I'm talking about dumpsters, enclosures that do not have any doors and are facing a public way.
Right.
I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, and it wasn't, I think it was
It's-
just to introduce it
Exactly.
and just
No, yeah,
say,
not
you
to
know,
make a
we have to
decision.
have I think we're looking for consistency. One way or the other.
Mhm.
There are benefits and drawbacks to both for the public works crew.
Sure.
But it's
Both
gonna
in
come down
terms
to
of
what,
doors and not
in
doors,
terms
right?
of doors, not doors, in terms of the way the dumpster enclosures sit.
Mhm.
It isn't as simple as just rotating them or.
No, yeah,
It's really, you gotta balance that access
right,
um, to the ordinance.
so something we continue,
I think we just
Discuss
gotta
it.
continue looking at it.
And,
I
yeah,
don't think we have to resolve it right now.
no. That, we talked about taking the pictures out of that file, so
Mhm.
it's transferable, so could
Yep.
y'all take the pictures out and then send them to
Yep.
tell the members for next meeting?
Mhm.
And that'll kind of give us a better idea of the scope of the situation.
Yep.
Um,
And I'll also print it out so that you can see the file with the
Pictures, too.
pictures in it,
Yeah.
and we'll hand deliver those to
Okay.
you.
okay, and Megan, have you spoken with some of the offending properties about their issues, or? Like, do you have a sort of file in your head as far as? Is there a general trend as to what's difficult for everybody? Or is it just that they've been ignoring it?
No, we've talked back and forth. Can you
Okay.
do this? Can you do that?
Yeah,
And there have been some that have done some work, and there have been others that have said that's really onerous. I can't do that.
Hmm.
So,
Okay. Move on.
Yep.
Let's do department heads. Megan, while we're talking to you, we might as well continue.
Man, I feel like the week's gone by pretty quickly,
Mhm.
but, mainly for us down in DPW, getting few classes and things in to help maintain our licensing that we have, for like the fuel tanks, the underground storage tanks, USTs, solid waste stuff, just kind of getting things, dotting the i's, crossing the t's, getting ready for winter, making sure, everything is ready to go for that first snowfall, especially with the way the weather is looking right now, kind of chilly. Lots of rain in the forecast. We've been watching a lot of the ditch lines. We're starting to address a lot of the ditch lines. We've been mowing most of them, but we're gonna go through and scoop some of them out, try and dress it up a little bit to make sure water flows the way it's supposed to, where it should. Just trying to keep up on the maintenance things here before winter. So right now we have it set for the delineators to come out next week, after this holiday weekend. So you won't see the delineators up next week. They'll be coming down along with the crosswalk signs, the ones that we put out, the pedestrian crosswalk signs, things like that. So that's what we've been working on getting everything back into the transfer station this week. Got all the connexes moved, got the C&D and metal moved. So kind of what we've been doing.
What are all the numbers on Triple I Road?
So that's actually for the Forest Service. They asked us to kind of do a narrative of what needs to be done, if it needs to be done in 50-foot quadrants. So you'll see 0, 0, 0, 1, all the way to, I think it's like 64 or something like that. It's just kind of addressing concerns and stuff that we've had or stuff that they were saying.
So
they would
each
like.
number is a 50-foot?
Yep.
Okay.
We have begun filling potholes. We filled some out on Triple I, and we're just going through town trying to fill in the low spots. So
So is that accomplishing anything with those 50-foot markers that would? I mean, what's the,
That's to help with the Forest Service knowing what the narrative is saying, so they're evaluating each of those 50-foot increments
yeah,
for the work that we need to do for the repairs and for Triple I Road future paving.
so I assume some of the 50-foot, there's nothing to do.
yeah, some of it
Yeah.
is just to clean out the ditch
Clean out a
lines.
ditch line or whatever.
Okay.
That's, I would say about 50% of the 50-foot quadrants is just cleaning out ditch lines. So
What else you got? That it?
that's about it.
How's your staffing?
How's the staffing?
Your staffing good?
Staffing's good. I mean, the guys are trying to use up some of their most of their vacation days before winter comes, because they know they're not gonna take them, so. And they've had a lot of doctor's appointments that they're trying to squeeze in before winter as well, so.
We have a posting for a temporary full-time person for the winter maintenance crew
Mhm.
because of our shortage person out on sick leave.
Yep.
So
Okay.
No, still no idea when he's coming back.
Still no date at all.
Hmm.
Have we posted that?
I think so. I think he did.
Okay. I should let
I'll check
people
with
know.
him, but I think he did.
Okay. Dave?
Not too much, we got the tower back within the day, so, which was good, got the low leak repaired. Looked at a low leak on one of the inside rear tires. That service center up in Middleton is very responsive for us as far as turning our stuff around pretty quickly. So, that's good news. One of the things I mentioned in our report is I attended the quarterly meeting of Lakes Region Mutual Fire Aid. Just to remind you just of the background is the state has sold the property where the dispatcher.
You were right the first word you used.
Stole, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. The property where the building sits, they've had a lease there, so they're co-located with New Hampshire 911 and Lakes Region Mutual Fire Aid. The first initial sale of the property fell through. As of last week, they got a new buyer. Okay, that's supposed to, it's a developer that's supposed to develop that into condominiums and other things. Forcing us and the state to move. The state has offered to move to an alternate piece of land that the city of Laconia has given them. They're gonna build a combined dispatch center, and what we were initially told is nothing's going to change except your address. It's not gonna cost you anything. I didn't have very much faith in that statement. Now that their project first round of their initial engineering is $24 million for that building to be built. So now the state is kind of backtracking on us, saying, well, it's so much per square foot, you guys are gonna have to kick in. We're not paying to transfer your consoles, to your furniture, any of that stuff. So initially, this is a very rough initial report. We're at about, anywhere between $600,000 and $700,000 split among the, 40 or so towns that we may have to come up with as far as like a special assessment. Which would, but we don't know what that is, because one, we don't know what the final price is for the building. The new building construction, we don't know what's gonna happen with the new owner. The local, all the fire chiefs at the meeting said, can we ask him if we could stay?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, with the new owner, maybe we can work out something where we can purchase the property that it sits on and they can kind of incorporate that into their plan. I don't know, it wasn't an option with the previous buyer, but now there's a new buyer here, so I don't know. So we may, we're looking at the Lakes Region's budget will be next quarterly meeting. And we should have a little better idea of what those numbers are looking like. It's looking anywhere between $18,000 and $26,000 between all the towns to make up whatever the difference is. My feeling is there are a lot of small towns that cannot absorb that cost. And my concern is if towns leave, then that number goes up to make up the difference.
Yeah.
And then does that number then make it, and does it make a domino effect?
Right.
And so I don't know. But it is a concern of mine, as it is with all the other towns that are served. You know, Lakes Region serves the size of Rhode Island, is basically what they dispatch for.
Wow.
So, there is some political avenues that we can also explore, hopefully, perhaps with a new governor. We may have some relief there, but, we'll be looking to fight the fight, and I'll let you know, what I know. But I didn't want it to be a surprise if there's a special assessment that comes up that we have to add to make this happen. We're fighting as much as we can to not hold the state to their promise of it wasn't supposed to cost us anything to move. I think that's very naive of us to
No.
think that.
Constitutionally, it can't.
Yeah.
Cost us anything more to move,
Yeah.
if they're driving it. Like
Mhm.
if we said we want a new building, of course we'd pay,
Sure.
but if the state is moving it, the Constitution says they cannot do that and bill us for it.
So, well, they're just building it big enough that we may cohabitate the space.
Well,
of
but the
their
bottom
building.
line is they're getting rid of the building we are in.
Yes,
So
yes,
that's driving the cost, whether we build our own building or whether we're co-located with 911. There is additional cost to the town,
oh, absolutely,
and they're not supposed to do that.
yes.
They are getting revenue from the sale. We should be 600,000 or whatever the share is, should be reserved from the sale to cover our costs.
It should, the
It's-
problem is it's 24 million to build
I-
a new, and they've got $10 million for the property.
I know, yeah. So they gotta find another 14
Which-
million, so that's why they're charging us
Yes,
600,000.
it doesn't make any sense to me, but anyway. As I mentioned, we took delivery of our EV kit. I'm actually makes me sleep a little bit better that if we do have an issue with an EV, we can at least have some tools to mitigate that. So we'll be getting trained up. It's pretty simple. It's a blanket basically that can cover the vehicle with a special nozzle that slides underneath and cools the batteries down to help with the thermal runoff of the batteries. So
And how big is that blanket?
it's pretty big. It's pretty big. It will pretty much cover everything except probably, we could use it on, well, we don't see too many EV tractor trailers yet, but anything EV that's out there right now, it'll cover. So, the only issue with it is it's pretty much one use only. I would be looking at the recouping costs. You know, the blanket itself is about $2,500. Those get contaminated with the,
Yeah.
you know, runoff from the batteries, and
Sure.
whenever we tow it away, it's gonna go with the vehicle. It's not something that you can just clean and reuse,
It's a one-use thing.
pretty much, yeah.
And you just have the one?
We have the one,
Okay.
yeah. So we can reuse the nozzle, but, you know, so we would be exploring, and I don't know, you know, if we'd be issuing emergency response fees associated with the insurance company that saying, hey, we had to use this to fight.
Yeah.
We're now out.
Well,
To
can you,
try to recoup that cost.
we need to know if there are template ordinances out there or whatever. We need something to fall back on if we're gonna do that. building.
Yeah, and
So,
it's so new, I haven't
Yeah.
heard of any yet.
I haven't
But I would be looking to get, to recoup that cost
Yeah.
if we have to deal with one of those, so.
Yeah, insurance companies gonna love.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
Hmm.
Other than that, if there's any other questions on there, we've pretty much finished up most of all the annual life safety inspections on the valley floor have been complete. I think we just have black bear, silver fox, and snow star left. And then we've got the mountain scheduled. We just did the Schwindy Hut today. Told him to pick a nice day. And he did, to go up there. So Schwindy Fest, they're all set for Schwindy Fest on Sunday. Up there, so,
Yeah.
but we'll be doing the base lodge and the mountain, at the end of the month.
I noticed, body cams were mentioned in your report.
Yep.
Where do you guys stand on that?
So we're still looking, we're doing the research of all the different vendors and what prices are coming in, what grants are out there for those. It's very much likely going to be a proposal for next budget for those. So we'll have some more information, but we're just trying to get the work done now and showing you what those different options are. Body cams are pretty much standard now, in police work. We're one of the few agencies that don't wear them, and our biggest obstacle, and Pat has been working with Primex, to answer the questions and get our policies set where we do different roles of not filming when we're doing medical calls.
Mhm.
And then not being able to film while we're doing. If we take obviously we're taking our police gear off to run fire calls. So in order that they're comfortable with it, it's the benefit for us is it's a big liability reducer. Any complaints that come in, you can actually, for supervisors to be able to review exactly what happened. A lot of officers now that wear them won't go out on the road unless they're wearing their body cam.
Hmm.
So it's not you know, back when they first came out, a lot of officers were very standout, oh boy, this is a way to get a gotcha moment on me or something like that. And what they found is as you wear body cams, it's reduced a lot of any complaints, and you're not seeing that stuff pop up anymore. You know, where there was a question of,
Yeah.
well, the officer said this or he did that.
How expensive are they?
They're expensive. You know, looking at right now, it's looking at you get a subscription service. Basically, there's a handful of vendors that offer these. You're looking at Taser, Axon, that does our tasers, Motorola, and then there's a couple of other name brand ones that are out there. They all have similar features, but not all of them are activated. We look at the newest technology activates automatically, either with the cruiser where you put your lights on, you draw your taser or you draw your weapon, it automatically comes on. If not, then it takes the, oh, I forgot to turn it on.
Yeah.
Kind of thing away. So, so that's basically where the technology's at now, and not all of them have those types of features, but we'll have a proposal for you to consider, with prices. Most of the, they do like a 5-year lease program. So you're leasing the tasers, you're paying a yearly fee, they handle any of the problems, but it also, includes the data storage, so everything gets uploaded to the cloud at the end of the shift. So we're not having to, have a server or something somewhere, it's all uploaded to the cloud. You're looking anywhere between, and I haven't seen the numbers yet, anecdotally, it's around $10,000 a year. So.
Yeah.
But don't quote me on that.
To cover the department.
That would cover the department, that
Okay.
would basically be 10 cameras.
Okay.
Everybody's assigned their own camera, and same thing with, we're looking at, the replacements of our tasers. So Axon, the problem with tasers is nobody else makes a taser. There isn't competition, there isn't another company that makes those, so
Yeah.
we're kind of stuck. We've had our current tasers for about 8 years now, and of course, Axon, Taser is now Axon. Axon has the monopoly basically in the market. They've stopped making ours. And so last year, we bought 3 years worth of cartridges and batteries in hopes that we don't run out. We can keep doing it, but they are already 2 generations ahead now, in tasers, so that's another thing that we'll be looking at, is possibly in conjunction, we can get a combination deal with Axon that would give the cameras and the tasers all on. Because now they also have data. If you use it, you plug it in, it uploads to the cloud, when it was turned on, whether the flashlight was on, the laser was on, how long it was turned on, how long your charge if you deploy it, how long was your finger on the trigger, everything.
Wow.
So, that's all the same system. So it coincides, and not only if you use it, if 3 officers are there, 1 officer draws his gun or taser, everybody's camera is activated at the same time.
Okay.
So there's no this person, but I don't want to get in the weeds with you too much, but we are doing, Pat and Zach and Colby are doing their homework on potentially being able to present this for the next budget for consideration, so.
Anything else?
I don't believe so.
Any other departments,
Uh,
rec or?
No, Recreation has their big weekend coming up. So they'll be doing the 2 the 2 races, 5K, 1K kid race, and then the 10-mile trail race. And that's gonna be in conjunction with the Schwindy Fest. And, well, I mean, all part of the
With
same
fall
weekend.
foliage
And the
festival,
fall
where
foliage
all the
festival.
great activities will be happening on the valley floor,
Exactly.
and the end of the Shrinity Fest.
Yeah, and then there's Schwindy Fest. Yes, right. Yeah, so they're just prepping for that. I have not heard anything really, but I know that we've been doing after school program. We just brought on another program person, part-time program person to help out in during the weekday afternoons for that. Things are going well. When I don't hear anything from the department,
Yeah.
it's going well.
Yeah.
So And then Dylan is at the certification board meeting. He's a member of the state wastewater certification board. So they had their quarterly meeting today. So that's where he is at. And there was, as part of Black and Veatch being here, they did spend a little bit of time with Rich and Dylan regarding current operations. And so, and we're admin wise, we're finishing the prep for getting the rest of the information now that we have the MS1 completed. We have everything done for tax rate settings, so that'll be the next thing. There'll be the water and sewer bills will be running the quarterly bills and getting those in the mail by the 16th. And I just, while we're on the water third quarter warrant that I just showed you brings us in the water department up to 80% of the estimated revenues for the year, with another quarter left to bill. Sewer 75.0%, so we're tracking right on there. Trash is at 70%. That's a little light. Primarily the pay as you go are low. The charges down here
Yeah.
for metals and that sort of thing. So probably about tracking about 5 to 10% short on the trash fees. But water and sewer are right on or a little bit of ahead. We did bring 3 new services online during this quarter, so fourth quarter we'll have 3 new services.
Okay,
Anything else? I don't think. Nope.
when will we get the tax rate set?
Sometime this month.
Yep,
That's our goal. We want to have the bills out prior to November 1st. So
so we just wait on the state for that?
yeah, we have to upload the MS1 and then they have all the info and it's wherever we fall in the queue.
Okay.
I lose my first place.
I thought the Mike Fergal's summary of the assessment was pretty good
Sure.
in the wigwag.
Yeah.
All right. Approval of minutes. Do we have a minute to?
Did you
approve?
have
I'm
minutes?
sorry,
You did not
I
have
did
minutes.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
that draft
Okay.
in order for
All right.
so I'm
We'll get them
fine.
out for the next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. Financial report?
The financial report is in there. Steve and I reviewed it. Nothing out of the ordinary. The motor vehicle number I can update you on. As of today, we're at 175,736. So that's not gonna be reflected in the revenue report that you're looking at. Sharon keeps an actual day-to-day every registration that's done. So that's as of today, which is nearly our year-to-date 2023 number for the end of November. So we're tracking well ahead
Okay.
of last year.
Just sticking with the revenues, the block grant for meals and rooms.
The
Does
what?
that
Yeah,
just,
it-
the block grant for meals and rooms?
Oh,
It
Does
will
that just
come in
come
the
in?
last week of December.
Okay, that's what I was assuming.
Yeah,
how about the sale of town property? Shouldn't that truck that we sold be reflected in there?
yeah, we just have not entered that in. The check has been deposited. It's just not
Okay,
reflected there. It may be under miscellaneous revenue, so we will realign those numbers.
and Freedom Pass, are we still waiting for it looks
We
like,
do, we have a true up that comes in
Well,
every year, and I don't know if
But
that's
That,
gonna happen.
and that was my question too, because the true up usually comes in January. So was a true up included in this number? Or was this simply
I think we backdated it in 20, I think we put it in the proper year,
Okay,
even though it comes in January.
okay,
Yeah.
because last year it was, I looked, it was about 5,000, so
Yeah.
that would be about, which still.
But I
brings it
also don't
pretty-
know, I did not have a chance to talk to Brooke about what numbers she is seeing on the weekends. I know, we talked a couple of weeks ago about it, and it is very light. It's
Yeah.
not been, even though the weekends have been beautiful, the numbers have not been high.
Yeah. And
I
where
don't
it's
know what you're seeing, so. I don't know if that's tracking
Oh,
for
well-
everything in the town square.
I mean, last weekend excluded, it has been light people wise, but the boats, it's included. I mean, if people are staying in an inn.
Right,
And if, well, they all
Mhm.
participate, so if they're staying in a hotel, they have the Freedom Pass.
Right.
Or lodge, whatever.
right.
And it's free to them, so I
Mhm.
don't know. I don't think it's comparable to what I would be seeing for selling things, you know.
Well, she has a cash component that is, I mean, we were counting on not just Freedom Pass sales. We were
No,
counting on some cash sales as well,
right,
and those have been very light.
right, but when the
Yeah.
weather's been pretty decent
Yeah.
and it's already included, you know, they've already
Yeah.
paid for it.
Oh, people have been
essentially,
out there. Have been people using it, so,
just not as
yeah,
many.
just not as many of the pay-as-you-go as we've seen in the past.
Well, or the Freedom Pass, because that's what we're
And the
looking
Freedom
at, this
Pass,
line.
yeah.
Yeah. For the, sorry, did you have anything else on revenues? For, the general overhead. It was a big jump from last month. Did you guys have a fun project?
The overhead,
General overhead for this month is showing as 89,000, whereas last month. Or last meeting, it was 45,000.
I don't know what it was.
Okay,
I'll find out.
okay, thank you.
Anything else on expenses?
That was all.
Okay. All right. Calendar review. David Britton property donation hearing is
Tomorrow.
tomorrow night at 6 p.m.
Mhm.
It's the second hearing.
And, yeah,
And Rich, we expect Rich will be back for that.
yes, he will.
Planning board regular meeting October 10th, 8 a.m.
Yep.
Next regular select board meeting October 23rd at 3 p.m.
Right.
And then it sounds like we have an October 30th meeting with
Yes.
Black and Beach at
Yep.
3 p.m. Is that public as well? Public can come to that if
Yes.
they want.
Mhm.
Okay, any other calendar items?
No, we have a non-meeting at 5 p.m. tomorrow with council.
Okay, we do have
Remember,
that.
we will have that, yes.
Okay,
That'll be in my office at 5 o'clock,
okay,
but that's not a public
okay,
meeting, just a discussion with the town attorney.
all right. Does Rich, you know that?
Yeah,
Rich
I
know about that?
already did.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay,
And yeah, and I'll be catching up with Rich before then, probably at 4.
okay.
Try to bring him up to speed on stuff.
Okay, broad concerns and directives. Got anything, Wendy?
I had one little thing, I think it's more of a reminder, just that split rail fence, right before the bridge
Mhm.
for.
Yep.
River Trail.
Yep.
And also, there are metal, I don't know what they're called. Not doors, obviously, but metal panels on either side that are kind of. They've come
Bent in.
unscrewed, yeah,
Okay,
and looks like it'd be easy.
Yep.
For them to keep falling.
Any correspondence?
no, just the email that Dave mentioned, from the
About
the
somebody-
property owner about the hazard mitigation plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wasn't there one we had about a month ago that somebody that was supposed to respond to? Oh, it was one of the people about the dumpster at the villas.
Yeah, they have not built the enclosure yet. We have not put the dumpster out there yet.
Right, there was somebody.
It was
A homeowner behind there.
Jenny, yeah, it was in a butter. It
Yeah.
was Jenny asking, well, actually,
It was
both
the
of the
Lions.
abutters
Yeah,
were asking, and Dave did go out and measure, and they are. It is properly sited so that it meets the setback requirements.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we met with Megan and I did reply to them. I said, you know, before any construction, we'll let them know when work with the builder when they decide to make those changes, but we met, I explained to them that the proposed changes was in the setback, and with our changes after meeting, it would not be in the setback, and so that would be passed along to the builder before they make those changes, and then when they do make those start the construction, we'll let both of them know.
Okay.
You know, so in case there's any questions that they have, we can address it.
And I did reach out to the builder and we discussed the changes and they were aware, so, but I haven't seen any, I checked it the other day and there hasn't been any
Mhm.
building progress, it's just a housing for all of their material right now, so.
Okay. And action items, we don't have.
Yeah.
I was thinking that
have-
maybe on the action items, that
Mhm.
maybe we had once something's completed, maybe I'd just drop it off then.
Yeah.
Instead of keep
Okay.
repeating them.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fine,
So it'd end up being a much smaller list.
yep,
Hopefully over time.
yeah,
That's
over
the goal.
time,
That's
if
the
I can
goal.
ever get them green. Yes, okay, I will update that.
All right, I think that's it.
Yes, we do have non-public.
Non-public.
I have a couple of things for.
Okay,
It's a legal thing in a personnel matter.
thanks, everybody.
Thank
Have a great night.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Did you see the lamp out there?
Did what?
Did you see the new lamp?
No.
The new
I didn't see it, no.
street